right, Mr. Chairman, you can go ahead and start.
Thank you, Therese. At this time, I'll call the Crow Wing County Personnel Committee for November 2nd, 2020 to order. As a note, we have Commissioner Bill Brecken, Commissioner Paul Coring, Commissioner Doug Hogue, and Commissioner Barrows on the call at this point, coming in via Teams. With that, I will turn the meeting over to Melanie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today we do have a relatively short meeting, but I did want to start out first with a couple staff updates. We're joined this morning by Debbie Erickson. She is our Administrative Services Director. She oversees our facilities group. She oversees our IT group, as well as the finance group, and she's knee deep into elections right now. So I'm going to hand it over to Debbie. I know that we have quite a bit of activity happening today in the courthouse. So I'll give it over to Debbie for a second. And you're muted, Debbie.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was muted. Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks, Mel. I just want to give you a really brief update on where we're at as far as our elections process numbers with 1 day until Election Day. We have been seeing a significantly high number of people who have been using our early voting process here over the last 7 days at the courthouse. As you know, the direct balloting process, where the voters can actually place their ballots directly into the tabulator versus the envelope process of absentee voting, started last Tuesday. To date, as of end of day on Saturday, we've had 2,155 people who have taken advantage of that opportunity. That number has steadily increased across the days as we've gotten further into the process. Thursday was our biggest total with 536 voters. We were open 2 additional hours that evening. We were open until 7 p.m. on Thursday. So we had 536 voters on Thursday, 531 on Friday, and I'm expecting at least that number again today. We are still voting today until 5 p.m. We are seeing a significant number of people who are choosing to come and vote early here. This is inclusive of people who have Election Day precincts tomorrow, who could go and vote at their polling places tomorrow but want to take advantage of the early vote. It also includes those voters who are in a mail ballot precinct. If they chose to put their ballot directly into the tabulator, this was their opportunity to do so. Voters in mail precincts also have the courthouse as their polling place tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we will actually have a polling place set up on the 3rd floor of the courthouse tomorrow. I know you do have a special county board meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock to deal with the CARES Act funding things as well. I just want you to be aware that there will also be a polling place that is occurring on the 3rd floor as well tomorrow. Totals so far, in case anybody is interested. As of end of day on Saturday, we have accepted 21,517 absentee ballots. That is 48% of our registered voters who were registered prior to our cutoff date. We had 44,205 registered voters, and of that, 48.68% of those have already have an accepted absentee ballot, either through the mailing process or by voting here at our counter in person. In 2016, just for some reference, the last presidential election, we had 36,148 people who voted in the entire election, both absentee and election day. Of that, 82 were absentee voters, and we had 27,866 who voted in the polling places. So tomorrow there will be 27 polling places. Besides the courthouse, there are 27 polling places that are open across Crow Wing County tomorrow. All of them will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., with the exception of Daggett Brook Township is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you talk to any of your constituents, please ask them to use the Poll Finder website to determine where their polling place is for tomorrow. That's at pollfinder.state.mn.us, I believe it is. I'll double check it and send you all the link so that you do have that. But they can put in their actual physical address. It will tell them exactly where their polling location is at and instructions on how to get there if they don't know where it's located at. Additionally, we do have our drive-through facility available today from 8 to 5. This is the last day for the drive-through ballot drop-off. Those ballots will be brought into the courthouse this afternoon, this evening, and they will be processed through with the rest of our absentee ballots as well. I'm going to stop and give anybody a chance to ask any questions that they have, and then I want to touch on just a couple of other things if there are no after questions.
Debbie, I do have a question for you. The 2 Thursdays that we stayed open later and the 2 Saturdays, do you think they had a significant impact, or kind of what was the activity that took place?
So the first Thursday that we were open later, I think we had about 20 voters who were here that first Thursday. Not a significantly high number, but remember during that Thursday, they still had to use the envelope process at that time. They couldn't place the ballot directly into the tabulator. But we did have some people who came in and were appreciative of that. Last Thursday, we had, I want to say 60, 70 voters who came in that 2 hours time stretch that we were open later that Thursday. Definitely was appreciated and definitely helped in that process that day. Our 2 Saturdays, this past Saturday, we had 300 voters. We had 298 voters last Saturday. And the Saturday before that, I believe we had about 100 voters who voted on the first Saturday that we were open. So I do think it helped.
So going forward, would you say that you would be in favor of doing that again or not?
In 2018, we did the 2 Thursday evenings and the 2 Saturdays. The 2 Thursday evenings in 2018, we had a grand total of 7 people who came after 5 o'clock on both total between the 2 weeks. The 1 week I only had 1 voter. The other week there were 6 that came in that 2-hour time frame. The Saturdays, we are typically usually here that second Saturday before Election Day anyway, working on other things to get ready for Election Day. Having that opportunity for the voters, it doesn't always have a lot of attraction that first Saturday because it's still the envelope process. I still think that there is some value to having extended hours, especially in a presidential year. We'll have to revisit what that looks like for 2022 as a non-presidential year. We always see the turnout drop off precipitously in a non-election year or in a non-presidential year, but I think that there is value. I would suggest we still consider it.
Okay. Any other questions?
So I just want to give 2 other comments. One, I can't say enough about my staff who are involved in this process, and I want to give a huge shout out to the staff from other offices who are assisting us with this process as well. As you know, it's an extremely fast-paced time, and with our COVID concerns and we're trying to maintain social distancing, we are staging our voters on the first floor when they come in to vote, and then controlling the number of voters that are up on the second floor so that we don't have too many people in our space all at the same time. We have had staff from all the other departments across the county who have assisted in helping with the traffic control on the first floor, and it's been greatly appreciated because we've had to take every available body that we have here in our elections office and have them working to service the voters when they get up here on the first floor. I've asked a couple of people who I know, who I've seen have come through to do early voting, what their experience has been. In most cases, they have been highly complimentary, 15, 20 minutes maybe from start to finish when they get in. There are times when the lines and the waits are a little bit longer, but usually by the time they can get up to the second floor to vote, if they're a registered voter, they're here less than 5 minutes once they actually get up to the second floor to vote. If they have to go through that registration process, it takes a little bit longer, but they're definitely, the staff are firing on all cylinders. Our seasonal staff workers, for the most part, will be completed with the end of day tomorrow. We will have 1 temp staff that we maintain, that we will retain after Election Day to assist with getting voter history and new voter registrations processed, and some of the other election-related tasks. But our other temporary staff will be complete as of the end of the day tomorrow. So I want to give a huge thank you to all of them for the work that they've been doing.
Thank you, Debbie, and certainly pass along, I believe, from the board that we all appreciated having been in the building and seeing the way people are moving through. I've only had 1 call myself. I don't know the experience of the other commissioners, of course, but only 1 person who was not happy, and I think that that person wouldn't have been happy in any election. So I think says a lot about the staff that we have and the appreciation of the staff from other departments pitching in to help. And this is sort of all hands on deck at this point. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Debbie from anybody? No? Okay, so commissioners, so thank you very much, Debbie. If you wanted to log off, you certainly could. I know you're busy, so appreciate your time. Commissioners, today also I thought it was prudent that we give an update with our land services group, and Gary has joined us. He's the director for the land services area. Gary, I'll hand it over to you for your update with your staff.
Sure. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm sure everybody did see that we had to not close, but restrict public access to the land services building through November 5th. What happened was we had an exposure in our land services that was kind of more of a widespread exposure than we were anticipating. We had implemented a rotation of staff for many areas except for our customer services counter area where we had all hands on deck taking tax payments a few weeks ago. However, while we thought we had a great plan, we found some holes in it, and we had a more of a broad exposure in our customer services team. And so moving forward, we have divided the staff into two teams. So moving forward, they should never come into contact in person with each other. Unfortunately, this thing keeps developing. We have another exposure in the customer services staff that is going to make us restart the quarantine time for our customer services staff. So we thought that was going to end on Thursday, and now it's going to have to be pushed until November 11th, which is a Veterans Day. So then we would say till the 12th is when we would be asking, when they would be able to come back to work. And this would be into two different teams. It's just kind of happening real fast, commissioners. But what I'm asking is potentially a extension of our restricting access until November 12th. The problem is that we got a positive case and they were in contact with folks last week. And this is how this kind of happens, is by the time you know somebody is either exposed or they're showing symptoms and stuff, then it's like we're playing catch up, so this would allow that team for it to run its course and kind of galvanize us if we were to do this moving forward, that at least that team would be back to a divided team, but all quarantine could be done and through, which was what we thought we were doing through the 5th, but unfortunately we had another exposure.
Any questions from the other commissioners? I guess, Gary, I don't see where we have a lot of choice. We're not willing to put the community at risk, and we're not willing to put the other staff at risk. So my position would be that I would support that move. Hopefully that the personal responsibility that goes for all of us to protect ourselves and our work sites translates to everybody when they see what's happening. And it's not hard to close down a department in our area or a local business. I mean, it's catastrophic as far as I'm concerned. So,
right.
Any other commissioners want to weigh in? So, Mr. Houle, I see you're on the line. Do we need to take any official action on this, or is it just the agreement, the consensus that we would move for the November 12th reopening?
The one thing that I do want to verify, Mr. Chair, members, is whether or not this exposure is considered part of the original exposure. Because if it is, then that quarantine timeframe would apply. If it's not considered part of the initial exposure, then the deadline would need to be moved. So what I would suggest is I have a meeting this afternoon scheduled with Public Health, and we'll work through that, and then I'll send you an email with which of the two we need to do.
That works just fine for me.
Yeah, I have that information. I've worked with Public Health this morning, and with Michelle Moritz, and it was deemed that this is a new exposure.
I haven't.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll look for that email then from Mr. Hool regarding the extension of this restriction. So thank you, Gary. Anything else, Gary?
No, that's it. Thank you, folks.
All right, thank you. Mel, we're back to you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Hold on. Thank you very much. I wanted to just give you a quick update before I go to personnel actions. We only have one thing on personnel actions, but just wanted to remind you of some projects that I have in the works that I'll be coming back to the board meeting with, and that is our labor negotiations. We are getting really close at some of our contracts coming to fruition. So once that happens, I'll be coming to the board with those presentations. We did end open enrollment. We only just have a handful of employees that did not meet the deadline on October 30th. We built in a few extra days of cushion time to ensure that we can do some one-on-one help with a few of our associates. So great process this year. Amy in my office did an incredible job bringing, open enrollment virtual this year and doing just a lot of one-on-one coaching with our employees to really understand what their full benefit package is. So we should have that up and ready to go by January 1. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that we do with our carriers to ensure that any changes that happen seamlessly for the employed. And then,
Mel,
go ahead.
real quick, for the ones that didn't get in and do their changes or whatever, what's the process for them? Do they just continue on with what they had previously?
We'll touch base. We've already touched base with them. There's a couple people we need to meet one-on-one with because what they do in early part of 2021 will help them to set up for their retirement. We have a couple of retirements in early 2021, and so we need to meet with them one-on-one. But everybody has to go online, whether they're they have no changes to the plans that they want. We still need them to verify that these are the right people on their plans, if they have family coverage or if they have changes to their life insurance. So it is a handful of people, maybe 5 or 6 people that we have to do a little bit more hand holding with. So
Okay, be sure and pass along our appreciation to Amy and all she's done in this process. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I certainly will. It's every year is a different change, and any opportunity that we have to make it a better process, we certainly will. So, and then we did launch our our mini pulse survey, engagement survey last week that runs through November 11th. So just wanted to, once we have results, we will certainly be sharing those throughout the county. And then, a couple of old projects that I had a carryover from my predecessor, Tammy Laska, was our administrative positions analysis. I have completed most of that analysis with our compensation partner. We haven't finalized anything yet, but there could be some opportunities for us to look at changes to a couple grades in those administrative classes. May not impact any from a budget standpoint because those employees are already within those salary ranges. So I'll give you more update in the next couple weeks when we finalize that analysis with our leadership team. So just wanted to keep you abreast that problem is still hanging out there. I've talked about it a little bit over the last couple months. And I think that is it for my project update. And then let's go to personnel actions. We do have one item on our personnel actions as of today. We have a replacement staffing, and this is for a property assessor in training. And this replaces Sandra Bruland, who was promoted to the assessing manager position. And Gary and his team have already gone through about 43 applicants for that position. So they continue to have a large following of really good applicants. We haven't gotten to the point yet of finalizing kind of the who we're going to interview yet. We hope to finish that this week, going through all those applications. So that one should come to fruition very quickly. And again, because they are limiting public exposure, we'll do that virtually. We'll do some of those initial interviews virtually. So
this position is up in the budget, correct?
it is in the budget, yes. It is a 2020 position. Okay.
Any questions,
All right.
commissioners? I don't hear any questions. No.
Okay, and that is all I have for you today. I appreciate you coming on via Teams, and Commissioner Barrows and I had talked about that decision, so.
All right, everyone. We'll look forward to meeting tomorrow at our special board meeting at 9 o'clock. So with that, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.